Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you can hear me all okay. Yep, you can hear me good. See a little volume bars going. So we're just going to do a little stream, cover what happened today, and then take it from there. Once again, if you guys have any questions or anything, just put them in the chat. I will be able to read them. If you want me to cover any specific coins, if any of you in positions already and you want me to give you my opinion, you can go ahead and do that in the chat. Obviously just opinions, no financial advice, anything like that. Probably the biggest thing to talk about is you had a swing failure pattern on the daily. So let's just make this a lot clearer. So a swing failure pattern is when you wick above or wick below. In this case, this is wicking above. Wick above the previous high or low and fail to close above it or below it. In this case, we're in an uptrend, like this little trend. So we failed to close above this high. We wicked above it, closed below it, so that's considered a swing failure pattern, and that gives us an indication that the price is most likely to reverse to the downside. Coupling that with, on the RSI, we have just bearish divergence, right? We made a higher high closure-wise, but we have a lower high on the RSI. So right off the bat, that's probably the two biggest indicators that we're going to have some downside movement. Just looking at the wicks themselves, just to see what happened over the weekend, right? I believe this was on Friday. I said, look, this is probably going to be your high because of the low volume node, but the weekend took over and we still wicked above it. And that's perfectly fine. I didn't have a short position. So, low liquidity weekends, they usually like to take any liquidity that they can, so they swing failure pattern on this high and then dump straight down on the daily chart. The real question is, where are you going to get your bounce, if at all? Typically, on swing failure patterns, what you want to see is the 618, which right now is at 22,220, which is, of course, in this fair value gap that I took from the 4-hour, but we'll get to that a bit later. But really, when you're dealing with swing failure patterns with bearish divergence looking in, you want to really see, I typically like to see a retest of the low, closure low, obviously, which then happens to be the point of control as well, is around $21,000, and then you can take it from there. So it's going to test this low, and then if it breaks below, then we can basically look for the value area low. It's not looking too pretty, honestly. I did obviously make a clickbait thumbnail because I did the Googles about the YouTube algorithm, how to up it a little bit more so. But I do honestly think that you're probably going to see a lot of downside this week. So let's just go over this fair value gap before we go over anything else. So this fair value gap, I did a video on how to do fair value gaps, a little trading series. So if you don't know how these work, just go watch that. It's like a 3-4 minute video, so it's pretty quick. But really, you're just looking for gaps within the price action. So right here, this is the only candle that covers this price. A big candle up, but you don't have any wicks coming into this, so we consider this like a fair value gap. You can also hear it as a single print or imbalance, even though those more typically usually have to do with order flow data. Fair value gaps have to do with more candle charts, but everyone's basically saying the same thing when you're talking about candle charts, is that this big move up and prices come back down to balance out the market and take any excess liquidity within this candle. Because remember, people are still going long within this candle. So when people are still going long within this candle, right, the typical retail trader who's going long in a very large green candle typically won't take profits very quickly. So there's probably a lot of trapped liquidity within the zone. which we're going to come back and take. Yes, I do have my bitstamp fib level also marked down on the Bybit chart at 21,650. So there's a lot of confluence that we're going to come back into this zone, and I wouldn't look for a bounce or bounce on higher term time frames like 4 hour, maybe even daily, until we get into this fair value gap and start to then see how it reacts. But until then, there's nothing really indicating that we're going to get a large bounce. There's nothing. Yeah, there's no drives of bullish divergence or anything like that. So until we get into this, I just don't see it bouncing. But just coming back to the daily chart, right? We're just pulling our fixed range volume profile. We're back above the value area high, so just trading based off of the volume profile. We're most likely coming back to the point of control, and then we can take it from there. So I don't see any bounce until then. Obviously anything can happen, but I just don't see a probable bounce on higher time frames until then. We just look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. We've been looking at for a while. Yes, there you go. We've been talking about this point of control for a while, which is this is the value area high, this is the value area low, and then this pink line is a point of control of this huge range from May of 2021 to essentially May 2022. So a whole year's worth of price action just boiled down to a volume profile. And what we see is, if we take our Fibonacci levels, okay, we broke past the 786. Right, held it as resistance. Closure basis, obviously everything is on higher term time frames for me. Came up, took some liquidity within this huge candle, and now we're coming back to retest this support and resistance line at the 786 right now. I did say last week that after we broke out of the point of control, once you break out of this 786, you're just looking for this value area high. So I don't see a reason for the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. Obviously, Ethereum itself is going to be a bit different. We're going to look at that. But I just don't see a reason to be completely bearish on this thing. Really just take it extremely level to level. This is a big impulse move up. So it's quite a strong move. There's no, you did have some drives of bearish divergence right here. So just be wary of that. But even if you just come back, break through the 76, retest the point of control, I'm not too worried about the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation for now. I really just want to see it come retest this value area high, and then we can look for some major swing short positions. Just like, let's just go back to this. Just like how when I was looking at the point of control, I was like, if we reject the point of control, you're probably most likely to get a very good swing short position. We didn't reject the point of control. We blasted through it. Major volume, hung around it, and then continued upward and onward. So just look for that same idea as if it rejects. If it has a clear rejection, you could probably get some good shorts on Ethereum itself. So let's just look at Ethereum. Respect to US dollar. Yeah, you still have the drive of bearish divergence, probably even more, just because you had such a excuse me, higher high compared to Bitcoin. Right, Bitcoin didn't close as high compared to the last one. But what's probably more notable, and the reason why the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation looks the way it does, is because, right, you broke above the value area high. You closed above it. So right now you're just retesting it as support. We are right now below it. But you have this higher high set right here. high or low, sorry, that's right here, based off of this daily support level, which is a fairly strong, doesn't look too bad, honestly. You can probably come down and we can look at small time frames to see where we're going to bounce, but this is the reason why the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation doesn't look the way it does, is simply because Ethereum itself doesn't look terrible. When compared to the Bitcoin chart, it looks like trash. We're just going to change to this, to fair value gap, and we can just look for targets onto the downside where Ethereum might bounce. Hello everyone, if people are coming in, just going over the usuals, Bitcoin, Ethereum versus Bitcoin now. Ethereum itself, you have this big fair value gap right here, which is a fairly clear target. We can just take our Fibonacci levels, coming back, retesting this support and resistance level that we have marked out from the week prior. Coming back, we also see that this lines up with the 0.5, but also most importantly the 618, which lines up with this little support resistance on the 1 hour. So most likely, I think the most likely target right here is going to be coming down to the 618 in this fair value gap, filling it, taking any excess liquidity, and then we can see another rise to the upside. But we will also, when it comes down to this level, so I'm going to set an alert for this level, just for myself. When it comes down to this level, around this level, I'm going to then look at the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation and take both in consideration to see what's going to happen. Because the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is coming up also to a support level, you have the confidence that it's most likely to continue to the upside. Let's now look at a coin we've been looking at, which was Algo. No, it wasn't Algo. I keep on doing that. Audio. We've been looking at this one for quite some time. We were taking some, I think we took some short positions over here, took some profits on the way down. I did get stopped out in profit, to be completely honest, like coming up to this value area. Now this is the point of control. I did get stopped out there. But let's just take a look at it, see if we can, it was kind of a nice coin to trade, a nice break from the majors. So let's just look at higher turn time frames and just see if we can possibly find another position. So taking we do have like continuous drives of just higher lows. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean higher lows. Lower highs and lower lows. While you just chopped around, so that's, you know, extra confluence. And you're probably just going to break a little bit to the downside. Nothing major though. You are playing within this range. So even if you come down to the 1 hour, right? You're stuck within this range. You set your range high, range low, and then you can just continue to range in between the two. So we treat this as a little range. Just coming back, you can see that these previous levels here, support and resistance levels, are coming into play even when you're still ranging, and also your point of control within this larger range is also being the reason is your like closure basis range low. But for right now, let's just focus. Let's just clean up the charts. We can always come back to that. I'll just focus on this little range. So you can see that we're just consistently going back from retesting the high, coming back to the value low, retesting the value area high, retesting the value area low, continuously. There's nothing really printing with a lot of weight. Hello again, great streaming. Oh, thank you, CDM Games. Nice to see you here. Nothing really prevalent on the RSI to really make note of. So I just don't really see a reason to just not, if you're going to trade this coin, right, I would see a reason to scalp it. You can see how we've gone over this once before. We see how close the point of control is to the value area high, and also importantly that they're like pretty evenly distributed throughout the whole thing. Like you don't want the, so let me just like draw it out. This is gonna be terrible. But if I drew out the volume profile, this is your value area low, this is your point of control, this is your value area high. This you can't do much with, right? You can say there's a lot of volume to the downside. You might say, oh, that may indicate some trap shorts. However, when you have something like this is your value area low. This is your range high and low, by the way. I'm just drawing that. This is your value high, so they're fairly evenly spaced with respect to the value, the range high and the range low. And this is your point of control, right? What does this indicate? This indicates that there's going to be trapped longs at the top. Right? More volume came in at the top, didn't break out, so there's trapped longs to the upside. So that's how we kind of get a little bit of more of a bias, especially when there's nothing printing on the RSI. We'll get to order flow data a bit later, once I come out with like this videos for it. But we talk about like CVD divergences and also just straight order flow like footprints. But for right now, this is a fairly easy concept to understand. When the point of control is so close to the value area high, and also they're fairly evenly spaced, you're going to be trapped the other way. So the bias right here, when there's nothing else to indicate whether or not you're going to break to the upside or downside, you're most likely going to break to the downside in this situation. Does this mean that you can't like print a swing failure pattern or something like that? Absolutely not, but just on a closure basis, when talking about the 1 hour, because we are in 1 hour range, you're most likely going to close below this range low rather than closing above this range high. Okay? As simple as that. That's how I'll put it. Anybody looking at coins you want me to look at? No? Alright, well, I'll go over the big movers of the day. CHZ. Okay. Big move to the upside. And looking at this chart, we can see right away we had a swing fairly pattern of the lows. Right? Swing fairly pattern of the lows, so what are you going to look for? We are within this, we have this range. We have this swing high to this swing low. We can maybe even take this as a large range. I might be more inclined to do that, honestly. Okay, and now what do we actually see? This is a very interesting value profile, but I just want to maybe get to this first. So we have the swing failure pattern on the lows. Where's your first target? It's going to be the 618. So actually right above here. A fairly big move to the upside, as long as you're not printing any bearish divergences, order flow data, or on RSI. There's nothing to be really concerned about. We could see that all this volume came into this at this range. Now, there's nothing notable with in terms of this little range right here. Right, there's nothing really noticeable about the distance between the point of control, the value or high, value or low. So there's nothing to really indicate there. However, when you have such low liquidity up in these zones, such low volume, you're going to push real easy. You're also going to have a lot of low volume nodes that you're going to want to balance out. So you probably have a lot of trap shorts within this range that, because you were just ranging, retail traders are still just taking positions. So retail traders are taking positions within this range, going long, going short, just by probable chance. The longest got paid, like in that mindset, because if you're doing like the real most probable thing, you'll be taking shorts up here, taking profit down here, longs up here, profit up here. But in terms of like just retail gamblers, you're just going short within this range, and people going long this range, and they got the right ticket, the longs. But you have such liquidity zones that you're probably going to it's very easy to just have these big moves up. Because right now you're just taking the liquidity from the trap shorts over here. You also just don't have a lot of interest in these areas. You can see that the 1618 also does have a decent amount of interest, right? Compared to the rest. Compared to the rest is very low liquidity, so you're probably gonna push up to there. And once we get to this one, we do have a bit of like a high volume node, right? So it's good confluence that you're probably gonna get up to 23.6 cents. Is where I'd put this target for this move up, and then we can take it from there. So hopefully that just showing you how I look at these things can maybe help you and like give you like we can have a bias. It's okay to have a bias. Yes, you should trade your levels first and foremost, but when you have data, especially something like the volume profile or even like bearish or bullish divergence, like it's okay to have a bit of a bias towards direction. We don't just short every single support and resistance level because it rejected on the 5-minute time frame or something along those lines. Unless you're trading on the 5-minute time frame, which in that case you're not concerned about these big moves. But if when you're trading on the daily, you're trading on the daily. I want to kind of stress that point that you have to trade on the time frames that you're trading. That doesn't mean you can't like come down to the 15-minute time frame and get like a better entry. You just have to be aware of what's going on that time frame, and then you can like come to the small time frames just to get like a bit of a better edge. We could look at Gala. So I did say the other day, I believe it was Saturday. When we actually was not using this chart, but I was using the Binance chart, but that's perfectly fine. Came up to here. The volume profile on the Binance chart was just a bit different. I like using the Binance chart on Gala. There just seems to be more liquidity for whatever reason. But we rejected this value or high. I said, okay, let's actually just go back to the Binance chart so you can just see what I'm saying. Why did I do USDT? Just USD. Not that. Perfect. You can see how the volume profile is actually fairly different from the value area high. So we came up to this value area high. We rejected it. We also printed hidden bearish divergence from this high to this high right here. I said short position, most likely good. I think I like tweeted this. I might have put it also on the Discord. But I said, short position with targets around 54 cents. Because you did have this 4-hour support resistance level. You also had the point of control. That was actually lower than 54 cents. But, I was really just looking for this support resistance level just to take a profit. Like, quick little scalp, more or less. Not really a scalp, but, nice 10% move. So, really just when the market is ranging, I just hope to show you guys that you can play the probabilities. It's not just, oh, I think it's going to go up to the side or downside. It's like, what's the information telling us? Do we have extra confluences to back it up? And just take your profit quickly, more or less. Just like, yes, this is like 4-hour candle, so it's 8 hours, but the first support and resistance level, just take your profit and just let it go. Like, you take 50% and let the rest of the 50% ride, but there's no need to call macro tops and macro bottoms every single time. Just be aware of the time frame that you're trading. So, like, if you're trading 4-hour, just, you're going to hold a position for 8, 12 hours maybe. If you want a massive swing position, right? If you want a massive swing position, like, something along the lines of, like, a short from up here, or even a long from down here, which I had marked out, but like a short from up here, they can be using more or less a different time frame. You can come down the 4-hour time frame, right, to then get a slightly better entry, but you just have to be aware of time frame and training. Too often I see, especially in the Discord and all the servers, I just see people holding positions and more saying things than that just are so out of context of their own positions, and their biases what's going on. Like, just be aware of what you're doing. Ooh, is it dumping more? We're coming down to the targets. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting close. We can take a look at SPX. I think I'll finish it up for today. Just look at the indices a little bit more. So continue to move to the upside. Nah, not printing any. I guess you kind of have a bearish divergence, hidden bearish divergence from here to here. So you might get a slight pullback, but with this, which is in confluence with Bitcoin having a slight pullback, but there's nothing terrible about this. Yeah, trap shorts. I mean, this is the biggest. You see how much the highest volume came at the bottom. That has to tell you something. There's some trap shorts, so maybe a slight pullback this week on the SPX, and then I just wanted to retest this support and resistance level at 45.31, and then we continue on. But there's nothing really telling us that SPX is gonna completely dump out. All right, I guess I will end the stream there. If you want 30% off your Bybit fees, maker and taker, link is in the description. That's where you can leverage trade crypto. They have a lot of different coins. They're probably the best platform in my opinion. They never really go down, etc., etc. Link to the Discord server. Our Discord server is in the description. There's a lot of good traders in there. If you want to join us, it's completely free. And if you don't like it, you can just leave. But just come in there, say hi, and if you want to have more questions about trading, everyone's there to help you. Also in the description is a link to an NFT Discord that I'm in. It's a really good place. I joined and I learned about how like NFTs actually work. I'm not telling you there's nothing to like buy or anything. No like NFTs to buy. It's not like promoting an NFT project. It's just a server about like minting NFTs and learning about that process. I didn't know anything about, so I joined that server. I just was talking to the server manager. I don't know what's it called, admin, the owner of the Discord, and was just like, hey, I like your community. Can I just like promote on my YouTube channel? Because I know a lot of us are just traders and we don't know a lot about the NFT space or like much about other areas of crypto. So I think like just cross-pollinating can be helpful, just even if it's just with knowledge. So links in the description there. Just once again, it's free, so just join. Say hi to those guys, and just if you have any questions about NFTs, you just want to learn more, I've gotten paragraphs from all of them about how to work. So make sure to do that. All right, guys.